do you know this thing that India has the highest number of suicide rates in the world? Yes, NCRB data suggests that out of 1 lakh people, more than 12 people are committing suicide every year. And this is a very unfortunate news we are discussing in today's session, but this needs a separate discussion because suicide rates are increasing, especially among the youngsters. What we have seen that between 2019 and 21, more than 35,000 students had committed suicide, which had exceeded the farmers' suicide numbers. Hello and welcome to the InFocus series of Drishti IAS. I am Ritu and today's session is about suicide and abatement of suicide, because many times what we have seen that people are suffering from depression, they feel lonely and they commit suicide. But in some cases what we have seen that they are forced to commit suicide. So today's session is about the abatement of suicide and what are the conditions for the abatement of suicide. And this session is important for your GS 1, 2 and 3 perspective. Moving towards the points of discussion part. So here we'll first of all discuss the news, then we are going to discuss the case, that what case reached to the High Court and Supreme Court. Then we are going to discuss about the Supreme Court opinion onto this. Then what are the parameters which is related to the abatement of suicide. After that we are going to discuss practice question for prelims. Before that you have to like, share and subscribe to this TIAS channel. So before moving to the news part, I have to make an important announcement for you. Drishti IAS has launched the GS Foundation course, which is Prelims Club cum Mains. And as you already know that Drishti IAS has several branches. So in Lucknow, 16th October, the classes is going to start by 8 am. Karol Bagh, Delhi, 17th October, classes is going to start by 8 am. And if you want to know more information about this thing, you can call on to this number 8010440440. I'll repeat it. 8010440440, and if you want to know more information, you can also visit to the nearby offline centers. So coming to the news part. So recently Supreme Court has interpreted the abatement of suicide, and Supreme Court has said that direct and alarming encouragement or incitement is needed to have a decision on abatement of suicide. So this is the interpretation of Supreme Court which we are going to discuss in today's session. Coming to the next one. The next one is about the case. So what happened that a matter reached to the Allahabad High Court, and in that matter what we have seen that there was an employee who was forced to retire, and there was a meeting held for that person that this person needs to be retired, and later what we have found that in the same room the person has committed the suicide. After that the matter has reached to the court, and the senior officials has appealed to the court that the criminal proceeding against them should be stopped. But Allahabad High Court had quashed the decision, and it says that there is a direct involvement into the abatement of suicide because you have snatched the right to livelihood of a person. So the legal proceeding would not be stopped against you. So this case has erupted a new discussion on the abatement of suicide and what are the parameters of the abatement of suicide, in what condition we can say that this is a case of abatement of suicide. So this is the case, and as you already know that section 108 of the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita talks about the abatement of suicide. Earlier it was a part of Indian Penal Code which has been abrogated, and in Indian Penal Code it was a part of section 306. And if there is a case of abatement of suicide, one person can face jail up to 10 years, fine also. So this is the case of the abatement of suicide. Now we'll come to the next one. Next one is about the Supreme Court interpretation regarding the abatement of suicide. So here Supreme Court had categorized this particular thing into the two categories. The first is the official capacity and the second is the sentimental ties. Yes, a person can sentiments have with their offices, with their personal relationship also. So here we need to segregate that what is the official relationship and what is the personal relationship. And here Supreme Court has said that, dissecting the provision, Supreme Court said that incitement to die by suicide could be caused by sentimental ties or physical relation. So sentimental ties is of the personal ties, girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wives, family, daughter, mother, daughter, sister. So this can be a, what you can say, sentimental ties, that your maybe emotional relationship with a person. And here we comes to the physical relation. So it can be the work relation, it can be the relationship between the employer and employee. So there they had segregated these two things. And the second category, which is the physical relation, has in which deceased are linked with the official capacity, we already know. And Supreme Court had observed that in the former case, which is of the sentimental ties case, there are chances and there can be environment in which the people often indulge into the hot debates and so much of the emotional point, and as a result one person can take such extreme step. But in the case of the physical relation or official capacity, the rules and regulations are there and one person has some expectation to fulfill his or her duty. In that case, everything is governed by the policies, rule of law, duty of law. In that case, we have to segregate these things and we have to look out the parameters. So it says that it has the expectations and it would be discharged the obligation as provided for, such as duty in law, receive the consideration as provided in law. So this is the difference between sentimental ties and physical relation. Here we'll come to the what is the differentiation. So we already had differentiated this thing that sentimental ties cannot be equated with the physical relation, because there are some expectations in physical relation and your every action is governed by your policies, governed by your obligation in which you're obliged to perform a duty. So these two things cannot be equated and cannot be judged on the same parameters. So this is the Supreme Court interpretation of the abatement of suicide and sentimental ties and physical relation. Now we'll come to the discuss about the parameters to check the abatement of suicide. So Supreme Court has suggested 4 parameters. So the court had the first question, which is related to that, whether the accused had created a situation of unbearable harassment or torture, leaving no option, that person could not escape and the person has the only option to die by suicide. The second thing is that whether the accused exploited any emotional vulnerability and makes a person feel worthless or undeserving of life. So this can be also one of the case, and you can see that many students have committed suicide because they felt that their life is worthless, and many times the teachers have tortured them, the peer group have tortured them. So this can be this case. And thirdly, it was the case of threats to deceased of harm to his family or financial ruin. So what we have seen that so many rape cases are happening in this country, and there is also stigma attached to the rape cases. In that situation, there is a ruin of the personal dignity, and the person threatened that if you'll raise voice against me, there are chances that I can kill you and your family, and there are chances that there can be stigmatized identity in your society. In that case, the person commits suicide. So this is a case of abatement of suicide. Now we'll come to the last one. False allegations that may have damaged the reputation of deceased and pushed him to die by suicide. So many cases, few people have false rape cases, false Me Too cases, and other cases, false corruption cases, and a girl have a different kind of false stigmatized identity that her character is not good. So it can varies from person to person. In that case also, there is a case of abatement of suicide. So these are the 4 parameters. If these 4 parameters are applied, then there can be a case of abatement of suicide. So this is the thing. Now we'll come to the question part. So before moving to the question, I want to talk to you that if you're feeling lonely So talk to your dear and near ones. And if you're alone, there are so many helpline numbers by the government and private organization. You should definitely call on to the number. You should definitely go to the psychiatrist. You should definitely seek the therapy. You should not step, and you should recognize this mental problem, mental disorders. So this is the thing. Now we'll come to the question part. Under the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, abetment of suicide is an offence covered under Section 306, Section 108, Section 120, Section 3 and 2. So you have to answer this into the comment section. And we can see that so many young students are committing suicide. So this is a very serious case. In this case, your life is more important than any studies, than any degree. You have to protect your life first. Thank you. Have a nice day.
For more informative content, like, share and subscribe, and do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.